Hello everyone, hope you're having a lovely weekend, afternoon or day. It's a beautiful weekend. That must be for everyone, doesn't matter what time zone it is in your country. I'm in Spain, so it's already dark and soon it's pajama time for me, but I'm sipping my ginger tea for the moment. Let me see in the chat if everything is okay and you can hear and see so that I don't mess things up technically as usual. Hi Giovanni, hi Graf, hi Kosten. Hi Fuxia, good to see you. Hi Yura, Carnicero, hi Ene. Welcome everyone, this is Banter Blitz with me. Today we are going to have a chatty session, so I have the opportunity to talk more, bring up some more post-mortem analysis, but also play plenty of games. So that is, whoa, 3 a.m. for you, Frenzel? Wow, yeah, thank you, I really appreciate that you are here, even if it's 3 a.m. for you. Thank you, Max. Hi, Let Me Win. Hi, Shaq Tommy. Hi, Latreya. Welcome, everyone. Shall we start with the first game and then have a little chit-chat if you want me to talk during the game or after the game? As you know, every second week, I try to make it a more instructive session. Video is laggy? Really? But I hope it's decent. I hope it's decent. So let's switch to the chessboard. This is the video. Let me stop it. Maybe it's lagging because I'm seeing my own video. Oh, good moment to stop my video. I love that. And here I was playing with Claudia just so that I can have the board cropped for the stream. So who's going to be my first real opponent and not a humanoid like Claudia would be? Okay, let's mix things up. And as usual, if you are a premium member, that will give you priority in my list, and I usually accept 5-minute blitz games, so don't ask for something that's short term. Oh, I need to abort this game first, I always forget, and then I can accept a challenge. So let's see, I think I haven't played against you yet, the Clashers, so let me accept your challenge if I get it. Now I don't see it on the list anymore. I was going to pick you, but I don't see it anymore. If I see it next time, even next game, I will accept it because I was going to click on that, but now I clicked on Chassis Toffer. I appreciate that there are so many challenges, so I was just scrolling up and down on the list. Black pieces again. I feel like I always play with the black pieces, and I always play the French. The day you get bored of it, do let me know. Then I will switch. Video is fine. Thank you, Jeroen, for confirming it. Okay, is this going to be just an exchange French with the second knight f3 move order? Will you play just d4 and that's it? Chassis Stoffer, yes, you're going for the exchange French. So as you know, I don't like to have a completely symmetrical position, so I usually play a different setup. In this case, I will go for the bishop d6, knight c6, knight e7 setup. The other one I like is with c5, and that's contradictory because normally I don't like having the isolated pawn, but there are certain variations like the exchange variation of the French where I would do anything I can just to create an interesting game. So yeah, sometimes I go for the isolated pawn myself. In these variations, what I'm going to do is castle queen side, so it's going to be an interesting game with opposite side castling instead of a symmetrical boring position. Even the symmetrical boring positions, by the way, you can play for a win, so this is not a rule that you need to go crazy, but especially in Banter Blitz I prefer to create something. I play f6 because normally my move would be queen d7, but I felt like after a move like h3 sometimes knight e5 is an option and my bishop would have been hanging on h5, so I sort of prevented it, or maybe I did not prevent it at all, but now I can castle queen side. So here we go. I don't mind dropping the h7 pawn because I want the h file open anyway. h3, and now I need to take a decision. The most obvious one would be bishop to f5, and I probably will go for that. Other options I consider is bishop h5 and then bishop to g6 to open the h file, or simply keep the bishop on the board and g5, g4. Bishop h5, b4, threatening b5. I will need to move the knight from e7, and then he is going to threaten bishop to f5. That's the only thing. So let's go here directly. Bishop h5, b4 was the move that I was considering as critical, and therefore I decided not to go for that variation. I got a slight cold in Norway, as you can probably guess, so I'm having a tea. But it was really nice. It was very nice in Norway. It was my first time. I love the country, the people are very friendly, and the event was amazing. I'm talking about the Carlsen Nakamura match. It was just fascinating to be there on site. So many people turned up to see the match, and also lots of interest on TV. It was on the Norwegian television, primetime, main channel. So incredible things that the Norwegian people do for chess. And now I should make something about my position. G5 is a move I really consider here, so let's go for it, because I want to create a pawn break with G4 and open the G file. He's taking on f5, but this is the moment when you should not take with the queen in case you want to attack. Of course, it wouldn't have been a disaster, but let's just try to attack him. He wants more trades, which is logical, but I'm going to tell him no. And the way to tell him no is probably that I will have to sacrifice this d5 pawn. Knight h4 I'm considering, and if knight takes, g takes, knight takes d5, do I have enough compensation there? Not that clear, but let's suppose I do. Shall we suppose that I do? Probably it's not the most objective evaluation. Okay, let's be more objective. Let's take here, even though I didn't want to, but I don't want to lose my central pawn, and now we shall go with h5, g4. So some of the minor pieces have disappeared, but it's still a dangerous position for my opponent. He's doing the same, of course, he should do that. He's trying to open the queen side, pushing b4, b5, but I'm faster. And this is the thing about opposite side castling, you should be faster than your opponent. So now I already have the h file, my rook is on h8, the bishop looking at the h2 square, and I can bring the queen too very soon, I believe. Therefore, I love my position. That's the short summary of this situation. I still don't see anything concrete, any concrete win, but it's getting hot in here on the king side. Whoa! Now this is too much, I think, Chessistoffer, to give me a piece, because your attack is still too slow, and I am a piece up. So this I did not see this coming, and it doesn't solve White's problems that you give me the knight. So I don't think that this was the right way to play. Yeah, let me, when I agree that in the exchange variation is difficult to create tactical complications, but if you go for this variation with opposite side castling, then it really becomes a different scenario. I should go to Bavaria to learn how to hold that. Hold what? I missed the first part of the conversation. I will try to choose every one of you, but one at a time. I cannot play a simultaneous. It's not a beer glass. It's ice cold drink, glassware, refreshing, quality ice cold drink. So it's not a beer drink. It wasn't even meant to be a beer glass. I can show you a close-up. Quality, refreshing, ice cold drink. Glassware established in 1841. I'm giving mate on g2 and on h1. Thank you for the game, Chessistoffer. Thank you. I've got this glass in different colors, you probably realized, but green is one of my favorites. This was a fun game, but I think it went wrong for you because my attack was much faster than yours, so I'm pushing here g5. I thought maybe after bishop f5. Well, you can... I don't think it changes much, but you can take immediately and then push b4. Or, wait a second, another idea. In case you don't take and push b4 immediately, at least you are threatening b5. And I don't have the e7 square for my knight. It's true that after b5 I can still go to a5, so I like this position, but it's double-edged. I can go g5, and after b5, if now I'm chased to a5, you have tactical possibilities with rook takes e7. So this is an option. And if I don't want to allow this, then I should take on d3 at some point, and then g5. So after b5 I can play knight a5. I still like my position, and I'm threatening the same h5 g4, but this is supposed to be double-edged. It shouldn't be winning for black just because I castle queenside. The moment where you went wrong, where I'm not exactly sure. Actually, you played very logical up until here for sure. Yeah, this wasn't a bad game. It's just very slow the way you have played very logical moves, trading pieces. You traded 2 minor pieces, but simply my pawn's turn was much stronger, much faster than yours. So I would have definitely suggested as white to push b4 way earlier, like even before this. And h3, for instance, is a move that looks like it's helping you because you chase my bishop away and then you can play knight f1, but it also helps me create a pawn break earlier. Once you have the pawn on h3, all I need to do is push my pawn to g4. Now, if the pawn was on h2, it would take me much more time to actually open the g or h files. So these pawn pushes sometimes should be considered twice with opposite side castling. h3 is a normal move in many positions, but with opposite side castling it gives me an easier option of opening a file, which is what I want when we castle opposite flanks. Any comments, any questions regarding this game, or shall we go for a new game? Police. What about the police? It is... Okay, it's still about my drink. You don't see the ginger chunks at the bottom of the jar, because that is a ginger tea. Natural as it could be. I peeled and cut the ginger myself, and it has honey in it too. But if you guys still want to talk about my drink, great. I thought we came here for the chess. Who would like to play the next game? Who shall play the next game? Let me see if... Wait a second. I chose for the first game. What was the hand I picked first? Let me see the list, because I know that I picked one of you already. Why does it disappear? The moment I wanted to pick you, the clasher, because I was going to pick you first, and really what I see, your name on the list, and then it disappears. Okay, now I see it. But it was very strange. I was about to click on your handle, and then it disappeared. So I promised that I would pick you because I was going to choose you already at the beginning of the show. So here I am, making up for my promises. Let's go with d5. Let's go today with my usual openings. Oh, the London system. This is what I should teach John next Friday. So, since we haven't studied it yet with John, I'm just going for a basic setup against the London. Well, I said it's going to be a basic setup, but in fact I'm going to play with c5 just to make it more active. This is also one of the main options for black, and then playing with queen to b6. Hi Iron Math, yeah, I hope that everyone's having a great weekend. Definitely. Soon the candidates are starting, just a few more weeks, basically. How many days? A couple of weeks, but it's just coming, it's coming. Let me know who do you think will win the candidates and who will have the chance to challenge Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, we are going to analyze more today, so that's what I'm doing mainly. Well, after queen b3, usually what you want to do is to play with c4, and then we reach a position where black has the open a file, but doubled pawns on the b file. It's quite a balanced position. I don't claim it's better for anyone. Oh, he doesn't want to trade queens. Interesting. But then I think I will just have way more space. I'm going to play g6 because I'm eyeing the f5 square for my bishop. I want to play bishop f5. Actually, I could have played bishop f5 immediately, and it was not possible to take it because of queen b2, but in that position there's queen c8 mate. So, even though there are tactical motives, by distracting the queen from the defense of the b2 pawn, I should also watch out for my back rank. Therefore, g6 is just as solid as it can be. I'm going to play now bishop f5, and then the other bishop can go to g7. e6, and then moving the dark square bishop I don't like much. I need some space for that f5 bishop. If not, it would be just almost trapped. Okay, let's just castle. And then I need to find the best route for my knights. I think the e4 square is calling me, so I'm going to go for a maneuver like knight d7, knight d4. He obviously wants a pawn break because the c4 pawn is annoying him, so it's good that he's trying to do something about it. And now I shall see how to react. I can either take and bring the rook to c8 later on, or let him take, but in that case, no, I cannot let him take with both the bishop and the knight attacking my c4 pawn. So I think he's right. I think b3 is a logical move, but I will try to take advantage of the c file. Not rook c8 immediately, probably, because, well, I could play that move, but I'm also considering the best setup for the knight and which rook to bring to the c8, because I can bring both. Knight to d7 or knight to c6 and rook c8. The queen will leave the c file, and then how shall I put pressure on him? Okay, this looks very natural, so I will go for the natural move. The other option was with knight c6, and then I have in some positions knight a5. But I think this should be okay. I'm bringing my rook to the c file. I will bring this rook, even though I said I might bring the other. And then I will just simply put pressure on the c3 pawn. I can double rooks on the c file. You see, in this position, if I had the knight on c6, I would have knight b4, but I expected him to move away from the c file with his queen. That's why I did not do that. Not that it was winning on the spot, of course, but it would have been interesting. So I can go on doubling rooks immediately, or knight e4 first, which I like more because I think in some positions he can move away the queen from the c file and push c4. The Clasher. Where are you from, the Clasher? Germany. Colin, nice to meet you. Now I can't get rid of the window. Okay, after the capture I can take either with the bishop or with the pawn. And both look interesting. Both look interesting. Especially taking into account that the b3 pawn is vulnerable. D takes, knight d2. And e5. Yeah, let's open up the position. So the b3 pawn is hanging and I want to open the position with e5. That's why I took with the pawn. It's a tempo. I'm winning a tempo by doubling my pawns. Now I'm undoubling them, if that is a sentence that I can create with a new term, undoubling. To undouble your pawn by exchanging it. And now I will just simply take back with the knight because I want to keep this beautiful fianchetto bishop on g7. Next move, knight d3. Potential ideas, or rook takes c3 and winning the queen with knight f3. I warned you. I warned you, the Clasher. Colin. Even a queen b2 I can take on c3. So how to prevent that? You should either push the c pawn, but then you will be in the diagonal of the bishop, knight d3, attacking the queen and the rook. Taking on e5 prevents my rook takes c3 and knight f3 check. But, well, we shall see if it works. It's good that you have knight c4, and I'm considering even an exchange sacrifice. Probably it's too early for something like that. So let's just play a normal move, and you will take on e5. I'm gonna take it with the queen, and still pressure on the queenside pawns, the c3 pawn. But you did well taking on e5. I think that was the only move to save you. So I can go b5, but I'm not gonna win the pawn. I'm also eyeing the king side. Bishop h3, and if I could bring a rook. Or... how shall I do this? Okay, I don't have much time. So first of all, I'm gonna push this pawn because I want to activate my rooks, and I don't want to keep my rook on a8. This rook on a1 is nice It was attacking my a7 pawn, so I couldn't just double rooks or bring my rooks to the d file. Now I'm gonna bring this guy to the d file. I don't want him to have the d file. That's why I played a6, so that now I can move my a8 rook away. Perhaps this is not much for black, but I like that I have more space. So it's a pleasant position. My bishop on f5 is not the most active in the world, but it's okay. I think this position is okay. How to create problems for my opponent? Well, I'm going to play h5 and maybe also h4, although he can push h3, so I would love to get my pawn to h3, but he will not let me. I don't think he is that nice to allow me h4, h3. I have 1 minute left, so probably I should speed up. I can move king g7. I don't want to trade on d1, I want him to take first. Okay, so king g7, just simply to improve my position a little bit. In these positions, oftentimes you just want to make small moves that can slightly improve the position. It's not that you are doing much with it, but it helps. Every small move can help overall. Maybe I will want to place my bishop on e6. I'm still waiting for him to take on d8. I'm not going to take on d1 myself. h4 I can push anytime. Okay, you want me to trade? I'm gonna trade here and create a pass pawn. This time I can pre-move. Sometimes I make really bad pre-moves. I don't know if you've seen some of my streams where in one of my streams I dropped the queen because of a pre-move. So you should be careful about pre-moving. Let's give a check and see what he does. Comes back. I'm gonna come to f6. I'm threatening to push my a pawn. I have more time than him. And I'm covering the a1 square, which is very important for promoting my pawn, but he's also doing well, although the c8 square is covered. So you see, he's not going to be able to promote his pawn. I'm threatening a2, a1. Okay, still the same. And next move I'm promoting. So the only move was to play something like queen a1, but that was too passive, way too passive. Check here. And I would need to give mate soon. Let's see what he does about the trade of queens. I don't have time. That's the thing, but okay, this is mate soon. It's my time. I didn't realize it was my turn. Oh my god. I won on time in the end, but I didn't realize at some point that Colin made a move and my clock was running. I think it was at the point where he pushed c7 or something. So the position was completely winning, but if I don't realize in time that my clock is running, I can just simply lose on time myself. This was a fun game, Colin. I think you played very well. You defended very well. So here what I was explaining is that sometimes you have this trick that you can sacrifice the bishop in order to get the b2 pawn and win the rook. But not here. Don't get mated. So g6. I'm preparing for bishop f5. After c4, I think the normal move for white is just to capture. And this is an interesting position. Not as exciting as an opposite side castling and the text, but it's still interesting because there are different features in the position. Black has the a file, the semi-open a file. On the other hand, white managed to double black's pawns on the b file. More space on the queen side for black, but usually it's not long lasting. So this, even though it's a balanced position, it's just very playable and both players, both white and black, can play for a win. Even if in the end, by playing very well, it should be a draw if both players play the best they can. g6, on the other hand, in this position I like a lot black's chances because I have more space and the queen on c1 is not well placed. b3 I think is a strong move, so well done, Colin. I think you had to get rid of the c4 pawn because it's annoying that I'm taking so much space away from your position. b3 I think therefore should be a good move. And then you played very well up until here. Also here, my position is very threatening, so I was telling you guys that if queen b2 or a move like that, rook takes c3, I'm going to win the queen. So bishop takes e5 I think is the only move. You cannot play moves like c4 because it's going to be just as problematic. Either knight d3 or even, well, depends, knight d3 or knight f3, but also the diagonal picking up the a1 rook. So I think bishop takes c5 is a must, and it's good for you that you have this combination with knight c4 immediately. I was briefly considering the capture, but I don't get anything by keeping the e5 bishop. I'm just an exchange down. So even though I have beautiful bishops, it's not enough in this position. Since you managed to take the e5 bishop, I think this position is equal, and you played very well. You brought your rook to the d file, and you started pushing on the queen side. But I'm not sure about b5. That helps me create a passed pawn. Imagine you don't push b5. How do I create a passed pawn? It would take me ages to play something like b6 a5 if I can ever get it, because it's not so easy even to prepare it. If you play, for instance, with c5, just open the diagonal of the bishop. You always prevent b6. You might just bring your bishop to c4, put pressure on the f7 pawn. So I think this position should be okay for white. You can play h3 if you are afraid of the back rank things, especially if I go h4, just stop me from pushing h3. You can play h4, h3, no back rank problems, no attack for me on the king side. So this is perhaps a better position for you. Simply by pushing b5, you let me trade here. I should take there because if I go a5 first, Colin could take on d8, although I have queen a1 check too, so maybe it's the same anyway, but just in case I took here and a5. And from here on I think it's extremely difficult for you because you need to stop the a pawn. But however you stop it, the queen is not supposed to be a blockading piece. So queen a4 looks just very ugly. Maybe it was still working, but it's definitely not a move that you want to play. After I get my pawn to a4, there's just no piece that can stop it. Perhaps the last chance would be something like bishop c4 and then just either queen a2 or bishop a2, but this is already passive, so this is not ideal at all. I also have this bishop to get rid of your bishop, although I should calculate bishop e6, rook d6, queen a1 check I have. So yeah, it should work for me, but now the c pawn can also cause problems. So it would have been a better defense to try to stop my pawn, but I think after b5 a5 is just difficult, and it's a blitz game, so it's difficult to find the best moves. But you fought very well, and I think up until this moment you played very well, and I don't think that my position is any better. Probably it's white who has a better position here. How did you like the game? And if you have any questions, let me see the chat. I'm scrolling. Hi, Karmic Student. Hi, Arthur. Good to see you. Yeah, begging for a game doesn't really help because I would like to give a chance to everyone, but I cannot play everyone at the same time. So please just be patient. I'll go for the next game. Who shall be my next opponent? I see some new faces, so I'll click on the new names I see. Premium members always get priority. Ragnar, nice to meet you. You are from the United States. And I have the white pieces this time. So incredible. How can I get rid of your name tab? I'm sorry, but I don't mean to show it the whole time. The modern defense, the Pirk. Looks like the modern. It's a ginger tea, ginger honey tea, although not everybody believes me. I can simply go for this solid setup with knight f3, bishop e2. It's quite flexible, so you can basically play it against most of the options of black. After a6, there's always a question whether you want to stop b5 or not. I usually think that if you play knight f3, bishop e2, then you definitely don't want to allow black grabbing so much space on the queen side. Bishop g4 is not normally played in this position, so I'm thinking whether to go just simply bishop e2. I think he wants to take on f3 and take my pawn on d4, so I'm going to stop that. And if he plays knight c6, I don't think that's so simple for black to just go for my d pawn. I can play bishop e3, and then h3. So bishop g4 is a move that surprised me. Normally it's not the way black plays in this variation, at least not that I'm familiar with. Doesn't mean it's a mistake. I just simply like having the pair of bishops. So I'm comfortable having the pair of bishops. In the future I could play e5 and the b7 pawn will be hanging with my bishop from f3. And my computer wants to update something. Not now, not right now. Please, not now. If he castles, e5 is a serious move. So he realizes it. c6, blocking the diagonal. Good. That's good. Good thinking. But e5 is still tempting. e5 takes, queen d1, knight d1. And then he moves the knight away. Let's just castle first. So c6 is good. But I'm still happy with my position. e5 again, let's see. e5, d takes, queen takes, then rook takes. If he doesn't take my queen but simply plays knight d7, I can go... Do I want to sacrifice there with e6? It's an option, but maybe I'm not getting much. So let's be patient. Let's be more patient. Bishop g5, h6. Well, let's see if he will play h6. Because if he does not, I'm going for the e5 pushes, and the e7 pawn might be hanging in many of those positions. If he plays h6, I will just come back to e3, and after queen d2 he will have to play king h7. I'm simply developing my pieces. There's nothing concrete in this position. I'm just trying to make it as unpleasant for my opponent as possible. Just always give him a task, watch out for threats. Even if you're not winning anything with those moves, simply by imposing problems, creating problems for your opponent, that keeps him busy and takes his time. He wants to push e5 now, I'm guessing, which is slightly a pity for me because I cannot stop it unless I go d5. Let's go d5 because I don't want him to push e5. I think if he manages to stabilize the position with e5, then my bishop on f3 will be a poor piece. And in a closed position, my pair of bishops will not be that happy. After d5, the position is still closed, but I have more space. That was my point. The bishop on f3 is not my favorite piece. Queen d2 or queen e2? b5 is not a threat. Let's go here. I might want to play bishop h6 and speed up a little bit. So, what are the best options here for black? Because you should also watch out for what your opponent wants to do. If in the future he could play b5, he would be very happy. And with the bishop on g7 pushing b5, b4, that would be something he wants. But I'm not going to let him do that. He cannot push b5 now. So I will just simply see what does he want to do in case I come here. Let's do this. I wasn't that convinced about going for bishop h6 or not, but I decided that I don't want to keep this g7 bishop alive. So I'm going to trade this. If he goes knight e5 now or in the future, I drop back the bishop to e2 and then push f4. So before taking action by pushing f4 and trying to advance e5, like in a Benoni, I'm looking for pawn breaks in the center. Before I do that, I'm going to swap this bishop, which means that I won't have a pair of bishops, but he also might not get this play with b5, b4 in the future. Not that it's easy to push b5. So rook b8 or moves like that has to be played before you can push b5. Even then it's not easy. Let's see the chat. Addict. You would find it too short if it was 5 hours long. Well, thank you, Jeroen. Tomorrow I'm going to stream for a while, I think, on my own channel. So if you want to come by, I will announce it on social media, but I think I'm going to do a Fisher random tournament now that I have just come home from Norway, and I loved it. I loved the concept of the match. Both players were just very inspiring, creative, fighting chess. I love the games, I love the atmosphere. So I think I'm going to organize a Fisher random tournament on my channel tomorrow in the evening. And that will be a couple of hours because a tournament should take more time, especially in Fisher random. So that's what I'm planning, but I will need to announce the exact time on social media. I think I will post it everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay, f4 managed, knight goes back to d7. I cannot push e5 immediately. Do I have anything? f5 is another option sometimes, but I don't want the knight to be back on e5 right now. So b5 is still not a threat because I have the bishop on e2. Although, well, sometimes it is because the e4 pawn could be hanging. So why not fix this with a5? Is c4 a move for my opponent? I don't think so. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix the queen side. If c4, I was going to tell you that I think it's not working because I have rook a4 and grab the c4 pawn. If b5, I'm going to take on b6. Oh, I did not take into account that it's a check. So yeah, this is a miscalculation from my side. I saw this move, but I thought I'm gonna take here, and I didn't realize that this queen b6 is a check. He's not taking with the queen. Now that's surprising. Now I'm just going to take your pawn. I think queen b6 was good, then at least you get the b2 pawn for your c4 pawn and a6 pawn. So I think it was still okay for me, but certainly it would have been more interesting if he keeps the pawn. I should speed up. Once again, I'm low on time. That's the only thing. You want to open the f5 for me? Okay, I'm in. I'm in. What's going on here? I have a pawn up and attack. So things are looking good for me. Rook a7 and taking on f6 is something I'm looking at, but probably not right now. What about d6? I don't know, but I'm going to play it. So I was calculating queen takes knight d5. Probably it was not good enough, but anyway, my opponent didn't think that I was bluffing. I don't have time. So even though I was bluffing, I'm too slow. It was not a good idea to think in that moment because I don't have time. So even if you start looking for tactical motives, don't do that when you don't have time. I'm gonna lose on time now. And that's a problem if you lose on time in a winning position. Because this is a beautiful position, but I'm gonna lose on time. And I've dropped my queen. Okay, this was very bad. I basically pre-moved in my head. I told you already a couple of times, don't pre-move in your head, and now I've just done the same. I believe I would have lost on time no matter what, even if I take on e5 check, then move the bishop. And it's a completely winning position with 2 pawns up and attack for white, but I would have lost on time no matter what. So Ragnar, well done, you would have flagged me no matter what. And that's because I spent too much time. When you are low on time, what you cannot do is what I did here. After winning the pawn, I should make the most practical decisions. I started looking for some kind of a beautiful variation and winning, giving mate. Now, if you don't have time, don't do that because you don't have time to calculate. So instead of this d6 and trying to look for something concrete, I could have just played the most sensible moves. Instead of all this, why not just play, like, let's say rook a1, threatening rook a7, or anything basic, like not going for an immediate win, even though there might be an immediate win. It depends how good you are at tactics. That's not my main field. You know that I'm Miss Strategy, not Miss Tactics. So in this position, if I'm low on time, it was very bad practically from me to start calculating d6 or knight b5 or rook takes f6 or rook a7. Even I was calculating rook a7, queen takes, queen f6. Now, if you don't have time, don't do that because all you do is waste your time. And in the end of the game, even if I don't drop my queen with my pre-moved bishop b3 in my head, I didn't pre-move it on the board, but I pre-moved it in my head, which is just as bad. So even if I don't drop the queen, I don't have time to finish this game with 5 seconds. I would have lost on time no matter what. So well done, Ragnar. This is something to learn for me. Not to start calculating when I don't have time. I don't have time to go for tactical motives. Who is going to be my next opponent? I think I have time for at least 2-3 games. 2 probably. Let me see. Thank you. Well, I am helping myself, and I hope that my comments on this game will also help you. So first of all, this is something that I was telling myself. Anna, this was very impractical. You cannot start calculating with no time on the clock. So here I still had about 50 seconds, but I used half of it at least for a move like d6. And even then I don't know if it's winning. I'm just going for some tactical combination because I think there must be something tactical. Even if you're sure that there's something tactical, unless you can spot it immediately, forget about it. Forget about it. Oh, there's a feedback about the banter. Or there's a... Oh, frequently asked questions. I understand. Thanks for the link, Fuxia. I didn't know we had a page for the frequently asked questions. I take the challenges randomly. I try to spot handles that I haven't played against recently. So let's see. Bartholomew. Oh, you must be a fan. You must be a fan of John Bartholomew. He's a very nice guy. Never met him in person, but I love his streams and he seems to be such a nice person. So I'm playing with the black pieces. Bartholomew 2000. Are you going to make a first move? From Spain. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal, Bartholomew? So, your turn. Your turn. I'm going to wait so that you realize that I've picked you. But you should really make your first move. If you don't do that, the game will be aborted. Oh, thanks, Foxia. You made that page. Yeah, I think it's useful. It's definitely useful. There are so many questions that are being repeated, so well done. Okay, the first move has been played. Today I'm feeling like d5. Other times I was experimenting with the Nimso and the Queen's Indian. Today is the Queen's Gambit declined. I like the bishop e7 order, although knight f6 sometimes could lead to the same position. And my opponent is playing with capture and bishop f4, very logical. Now, there are some lines that I play here which are rather boring, but equalize. Shall I go for that or something more complex? That's the question. That is the question. Okay, c6 to start with. Yes, Fuxia is doing great. I agree with you that she was rewarded with the mod designation for her exemplary services. Well said, Kramnik student. Okay, in this variation, white can play with g4. I think that's what we're gonna see. No, he's not going for it. Usually the players that pick e3 want to go for the g4 variation, which is very interesting, those positions. No, no one hates you, Fuxia. You are doing very well. You're helping us all. So no one hates Fuxia. How could you hate Fuxia? If I take, I'm developing his queen, but queen d7, knight e5 I don't want to step into. Other option would be to play bishop to e4. Let's play that. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight d2. No, bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes. Do I want that? Do I want it at all? Actually, okay, I shouldn't think too much. This is the case. You shouldn't think this much because you are wasting your time and it doesn't guarantee that you are picking the best move. So in the end, just be practical. That's my advice. I will be very practical here. Just try to swap his bishop as well. He has taken my bishop, which was an active piece, but it wasn't supposed to be my best bishop. In this structure, actually, both the f5 and the f4 bishop, even though they are supposed to be bad bishops, they are not bad because they were out of the pawn chain, taking many squares away from the opponent. So that's why bishop d3 is a good move, and bishop d6, the same idea. You don't want those dark squares to be controlled by your opponent. Knight e5 is a good move, and in order to challenge this, I would need to play knight d7, but then knight takes c6, and he will pick up a pawn. Knight d7, knight c6, b takes, and bishop d6 wins material, so I don't want to allow that. If I don't want to allow that, how shall I continue? Let's go rook e8 first. This doesn't solve the problem. I don't want to go knight d7 next move either, because he still has knight takes c6. So how can I prepare this? I'll have to play queen to e7 and then knight d7. I don't know if you understand the variation, if it was clear enough how I explained. I mean, or after the game is over, I will show you on the board why this d6 bishop would have been in trouble if I had played knight d7 immediately. I will recap it just to make sure that it was clear enough, because those tactical motives are important. You speak Spanish, that's great, but this is an English stream, so please stick to English. Que ahora mismo este stream no es en español sino en inglés, así que hablamos en inglés, por favor. So, now at last I can play knight d7 and threaten to capture on e5. What I have achieved is to equalize, basically. I'm not claiming that I have anything but equality, but here I come. Let's try to put pressure on my opponent. Taking here. I can then bring the rook to the king side if I want to, or play with knight f6 and then jump with the other knight to e4. So this is the typical minority attack that white can prepare on the queen side. We are all very familiar with that. I'm curious about this knight f4 move. Prevents rook e6 for sure, but what else does he want? Does he want something else? Not sure. I'm going to come here. Just so that I can get another knight on e4 in case we trade knights. Yeah, I'm a little bit puzzled by knight f4, although it prevented rook e6, so maybe I shouldn't worry that much that my opponent has played knight f4. It's supposed to be okay. I can take with the pawn if I want to change the pawn structure. Do I want to change the pawn structure? No. I don't want to change the pawn structure. I like my knight on e4, so I don't want a pawn on a square where I want my queen. Where I want my knight, not my queen. You want me to play g5 in order to do something on the king's side. It seems... Okay, first I'm gonna play h6 because that's still fitting my position. g5, I'm not the kind of person that loves pushing g5. That's the only thing. But he's provoking me to push g5. Without that, I cannot swing the rook over to the king side. His queen side attack is not really advanced, so at this point white would normally have the pawn already on b4, so I'm not worried about that, but I'm not creating that much of a problem for him on the king side unless I chase the knight away from f4. Okay, he's leaving. He wanted to leave. Maybe rook e6, knight c5 he wants. Let's see. I'm coming with the rook now. Knight c5 here would be interesting. So that my rook and the b7 pawn is hanging. Therefore, he's kind of forcing me to take. I don't want to trade queens. I'll keep it, even if my queen is more passive in this position. I'll go rook g6 and dream about queen takes h3. Announced it. Don't have much time. Moving the king away from the g5 should be good enough. But then I can still annoy him with moves like queen f5, queen e4, queen c2 coming back so that he doesn't get mated. At some point I think I should play b6 so that I can develop my a8 rook, because at the moment it's just very passive. Okay, let's chase this queen away so that I can bring my rook. In case of queen c2, I'm winning a pawn with this check. That was the trick. Queen c3 had to be played in order to keep the pawn. I'm going to take it. I love pawns. And now I will simply come back because I have done my job capturing the pawn. He wants to double rooks on the c5, which is very logical. So let's just get rid of this queen. In a rook endgame, I can defend it from c8. With the queen on f5, I could not. We are even on the clock, so this should be okay. I think he's doing well keeping the queen on the board. I think that's a good idea, actually. So let's insist. Oh, but no. Wait a second, it's not so easy to insist. I'm gonna play 5 and then maybe later b5. I didn't want to allow queen a6, so I'm covering the a6 square with the rook. That's why I pushed a5, and then I can go for b5 and such. Let's come here. Just annoy him a little bit on the f file in case. Yeah, b5, actually I'm not sure about it because it would make my pawn a backward pawn. So, what shall I do here? First I'm gonna bring this rook here. Not that it has an immediate purpose, but I'm running low on time. I'm running low on time, so I'm going for this. Rook c5 looks very logical. Hey, this is not a good move. This is not a good move. Oh, he offered me a draw. Actually, I didn't realize. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, I'm going to offer it back because I don't have time, and I think we are repeating moves. Well, this was exciting, Bartholomew. Congratulations. I did not take advantage of my pawn because, yeah, I was aware that after pushing b5, this c6 pawn is backward, so I'm too passive to win this. But you played very well because you doubled rooks very quickly and then you tripled forces on the c5. So even though I'm a pawn up, you defended very well. And I'm not sure what's the best way here for black to play, because after queen d3, I think it was very good that you didn't trade queens. So now if I, let's say, move the rook either to c8 or e8, you will play queen a6, and this is what was annoying to me. It's very annoying. Therefore I played a5, but after a5 it's getting more difficult for me to push the pawns. I can never really prepare c5. If I can't play c5, then I'm gonna get rid of this target on c6. Maybe I had to do something else. Queen f5 doesn't do much here, so no, it's not easy. Actually, I think you defended very well. So black has a pawn up, but it's not so easy to convert, and we were low on time. I think this was a fair result because you defended very well. You're active on the c file and your queen is active on this diagonal. King g2 was a good move to keep the f2 square covered. I think this was a fair result. So in this position, certainly. I think here at some point I just forgot about rook c6. I played here in the heat of the last few seconds, I played queen d6, and you can capture on c6. Yeah, and then I can get into trouble actually, because I have back rank problems. So here I have to give up my queen. Suddenly, from a position where it was completely closed, you would win my queen. The problem is that you are picking up the d5 pawn. Problem for me, I mean. If not, the two rooks would be okay, but you pick up the d5 pawn. Do I have time to... If I had time to do something, but you're threatening the c6 rook and queen b8 check, so this is bad. Ooh, I did not realize this. I mean, I have to play something like here, give up some of the pawns and try to give perpetual by attacking the f2 pawn. But no, when I played queen d6, I was sure that I made a mistake. So here, for one moment, you had a chance to win the game. But normally, I shouldn't place the queen on d6. I should just simply keep it where it is, bring the rook to a6, and then I can move the queen. But this is a draw because you are blocking my c-pawn, attacking the c6 backward pawn. So very well played. Good job. I think I should have played at some point g6 and king g7 to make sure that there's nothing on the back rank. Before I start going for queen moves, I should play g6, king g7. That's what I was telling you in the previous game, to build it up and improve your position step by step. g6, king g7, and then try to do something. In some positions, I could consider sacrificing with b4 to create an a-pass pawn, but normally I feel like this should be a draw because white's pieces are very active. Now, one line that I was mentioning before with the knight on e5, so way before, I was telling you that I want to trade the knight on e5, but I cannot do it immediately, and the line I was talking about is knight to d7, and here it's not knight d7, which would be the move of white. I can now just take back. That's not the strongest. The strongest would be to capture either on f7 or c6, attacking the queen, sacrificing the knight, and then taking on d6. So by placing my knight on d7, I'm actually cutting the connection between the bishop and the queen. Therefore, that's a bad move. I play rook e8, and after h3, I still cannot do it for the same reason. Therefore, I go queen e7, and now I'm threatening to at last develop my knight with the knight to d7. I think I was going to play one more game, but it's getting late. Well, anyway, one more game. I promised I would play one more game, so I'm going to keep that promise. I don't like saying something that then I don't do, so that's not my style. Even if I see that I've been analyzing for quite a while. I was supposed to be streaming until 9. I still have 2 minutes. I don't know if we will finish the game in 2 minutes, but if we don't, I'll just have dinner a bit later. It's okay. It's okay. e4. Let's go e5 in this game because I've been playing the French in too many games today. 3D chess in Star Trek. Scotch. Well, I'm not catching up with the conversation. Oh, the gambit. Okay. Last time I played this, how old I was? 12? No, probably later too, a little bit later, but I don't remember too much. So let's try to remember. Let's try to remember how was this. Bishop c5, c3. Remember. This is a thing when you play an opening that you normally don't. You don't remember. Okay. Up until here, yes. Yeah, okay. Knight f6, e5, d5. There was this line when d5 is the move, but not in that position. Is it that position? Is it that position or not? I remember a line where knight f6, e5, d5 is the position. Now I need to make sure whether it's this position or not. Sometimes fragments of memory are worse than actually not knowing. Because you remember something, but it's not really. So is it or not? Knight f6, e5, d5 takes. I take on c4, takes on g7. I need to move the rook. And queen e4, queen e2 check picks up the c4 pawn. No, that's not the right way to play. So I'm just going to stop it by playing d6. Knight g7 I see in the chat. Yeah, probably that was just a sensible move, which I did not play. I will have to do it now. Or bishop to e6, I'm considering. Let's go for this one. I want to get rid of that bishop first. Yeah, I should definitely watch Paco's series on e4, e5, and actually I'm featured in some of his videos, so I should remember something, but I don't. I don't remember. Tomorrow the stream, I don't know yet, it will be in the evening. I will post it, I think, tonight on Facebook and Twitter, so if you follow me on my Facebook page or on Twitter, Anna_chess, then you will definitely know my streaming time for today. Not for today, tomorrow. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I should speed up. He wants to take on d4 simply. Knight f6 or knight e7. Both look good. But let's just play normal. Yeah, tomorrow I will play more games, and I will also organize a tournament in Fisher Random. I was telling you about that. So tomorrow on my own channel I will stream for longer, and we will play a Fisher Random tournament. I think it will be approximately like today, or perhaps earlier. So in the evening in Europe, that would be during the day in the States, or in the morning. Sunday morning or Sunday midday. Just make sure that you're checking my social media post, and then you will know. Then you will know about the exact starting time. And if you follow my channel on Twitch, then you will get an email notification when I go live. So that's a cool feature. I like that about the pages I follow, about the channels I follow on Twitch. I like that I always get notified when they go live. Okay, let's ask this bishop if he wants to take on c6. He does not want to. Okay. Should speed up. Once again. What a surprise. I have ideas sometimes with bishop to g4. That's what I'm looking at the moment. But I'm just gonna come here and threaten queen h4. He can do the same. He can play queen h5 here. If I was him, I would definitely want to do that. Queen h5, g6. He doesn't play that, so I'm gonna play this first. And I will not let you play queen h5 yourself. Just h3 and, well, bishop f1 is good enough to defend. Or after bishop d5, bishop f1. So I'm not giving mate, but I'm just threatening. I'm just scaring my opponent as much as I can. I'm a pawn up. I forgot about that. So, I'm a pawn up. Let's come here. This is the pawn up strategy. I actually didn't count the pawns. I felt like I'm doing very well, but I didn't count the pawns up until now. He doesn't want to trade queens, just wise. But that means that I'm very active. He wants to be repeating moves, sort of. I will not do that. Queen h5 now is a possibility. g6 or h6. I'm losing my voice. Happens. It sometimes happens. Especially if you were away for a week from home, commentating every day. Things that happen. But Norway is beautiful. It was snowing every day basically, but it was beautiful. Really nice country. What? I'm gonna take this with the queen. I'm gonna take that with the queen, not with the pawn. But even if I had taken it with the pawn, that was still no mate after queen h7. So now I should just hurry up with my piece up and get more ginger tea. Okay. I have 1 minute to win this. It could be like Hikaru's book, 1 minute to checkmate. Oh, I had to take on e2 first, but anyway. This is still winning, but I had a tactical motive immediately. I spotted it too late. I could have just taken on e2 and then on f3, and I was winning. I would have had a rook up in that position. So too late to realize it. I could have given check on e3 first, but it's going to be similar. Then take on c2, push d3. This is just winning. Well, the only thing is that I don't have time, so I should hurry up. I could bring my rook to h6, rook d6, rook h6, because his king on h3 is just bad. So I'm threatening d3 with this pass pawn, marching, and I can go rook d6 or rook d5 and bring the rook to the h file. Announced it. I know that Spectre can't hear it. It's with a delay, so of course this is just a joke when I say that I've announced it. Let's give a check first. Then take on h2 if he comes to g4. If he goes to g2, I'm gonna take on d2, bring my rook here, threaten rook e2, still coming here. I don't have time. That's the only thing. I'm dropping my pawn because I don't have time. I don't have time. This is bad not to have time. I seriously don't have time. Oh, he wants to give me mate, but I still have the d8 square covered. I would need to pre-move, but I'm too slow. I'm too slow. I'll lose on time. I lose on time in a completely winning position. It happens to me sometimes. Actually, I don't know why I don't play with increment. Perhaps next time I will play with increment, because this is something that I find sometimes very difficult, at least for me, to move the mouse quickly. And I was pre-moving b4, but I got a check, so I couldn't move b4. I had to come back with the mouse and move the king. I'm not very good at moving quickly, as you have realized, especially online. On a chessboard I'm faster, but with the mouse I'm not. I might suggest for next time playing with increment, because I feel like it's a little unfair when you play well and then you lose on time. So, I mean, I knew it from already move 20 something that I would lose on time if my opponent doesn't lose the game earlier. It doesn't matter that I have a piece up. So, the opening, well, the scotch, the gambit, and you guys were telling me knight e7, but I think d6 should be a good move too. Not that I remembered, but some fragments of memories. I kept the pawn, so I was very happy. I'm a pawn up and I can either trade queens or just go for the initiative. And bishop g5 is a blunder, so Spectra, you can't really play bishop g5. Problem is, you don't even have mate if I take with a pawn. So you were calculating something that wasn't there. I can go to e7 with the king. So bishop g5 was not working. This is not good. What else can you do? Not easy. You're a pawn down and I have a comfortable position. Of course you should try to do something, but that something is not easy at all. Double rooks on the e file, for instance, play c3 and try to make me take on c3, bishop c3, or take on d4 and bishop c3. Could be an option, but definitely after bishop g5 this position is lost. So this was on move 20 and I was 1 minute below on the clock, I think. So if I'm better at playing fast with the mouse, I would have won this game, but since I'm not, for next time I think I will try to ask you guys to play with increment, because I feel that this is a little unfair. The game was fun. Thank you for the game, Spectre. Of course it's not you that I cannot play fast enough with the mouse. Thank you once again everyone for being here. I'll see the last questions or any comments in the chat. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, I'm going to be streaming on my own channel. I will post it on my social media so you know the starting time, and I will create a Fischer random tournament because I'm really much in Fischer random mode still, and the Fischer random fever has caught me literally too because I'm blowing my nose, but it was such a nice event, and I think Fischer random is really an interesting variant that can be played on the highest level. So both Magnus and Hikaru showed that this was an inspiring format. The match with starting positions played by both, so you have the same position with reversed colors. They had so many exciting games, so many beautiful games. Not perfect ones because they are not used to the random piece setup, but chess doesn't have to be perfect. It's still beautiful. So I'm going to have a tournament tomorrow, I believe. stay tuned for announcements on my social media. Next Saturday is the birthday of Cheers24, so there will be plenty of streams coming up. Soon there will be an announcement on that as well. Have a very nice weekend, and I will see you next Thursday. Not Thursday. I used to be on Thursday. I'm on Saturdays nowadays. See you next Saturday, but also, as I mentioned, I will be streaming on my own tomorrow. See you then. Bye bye.